Hello, my dear students and viewers. This is Puranjay Biswas, Professor and Chairman, Department of English, Dhaka College, affiliated with the University of Dhaka. I welcome you to my today's lecture on Introduction to Linguistics, course code 308, and the topic is phonetics, one of the linguistic levels. My dear students, you know that there are some basic linguistic levels that I mentioned in my previous class. Phonetics is one of the most important linguistic levels. At first, let me mention the meaning of the word phonetics and its root. The English word phonetics has derived from a Greek verb which is phone. This Greek verb phone means to speak, and this word has a noun which is phonetikos, and this Greek noun means space, that is human space. Then it has also a Latin origin, phoneticus, which is modified from the Greek word phonetikos. Now, phoneticus, the Latin word, means human space sounds. Now, if we want to give a definition of phonetics, we can say that phonetics is the scientific study of human space sounds. What is the function of phonetics? Phonetics has threefold functions. Firstly, it discusses how speech sounds are articulated, produced. Secondly, it discusses how speech sounds are transmitted. And thirdly, it deals with how speech sounds are received and perceived from the speaker by the listener. And there is a minimal unit of phonetics which is form. And what are the fields of phonetics? Phonetics deals with the ways how speech sounds are articulated through different speech organs. Then the produced speech sounds are transmitted from the speaker to the listener. And then how speech sounds are received by the ears of a listener, and how those received sounds are perceived. So, phonetics, in fact, is a universal, common property of linguistics. On the contrary, we can't but mention phonology. In fact, Phonetics and phonology are two major linguistic levels which are concerned with human speech sounds. According to Bloomfield, phonology is the organization of sounds into patterns, and this is the definition given by Bloomfield. We can also mention the comment of Robbins. What does Robbins comment? He says that phonetics and phonology are concerned with the same subjects of speech sounds. Phonetics is general, descriptive, and classificatory, but phonology is particular and functional. Phonology has been called functional phonetics. So, in short, we can differentiate phonetics from phonology. Phonetic just explains the physiological, transmission, auditory and perceptive phenomena of linguistics. On the contrary, phonology is a particular property of linguistics which deals with sound system in a particular or given language. So phonology is particular, individual property of linguistics. Phone is the unit of phonetics and phoneme is the unit of phonology. In fact, phonology is abstract and functional. On the other hand, phonetics is physical, concrete, and theoretical. My dear students, now let me mention the main branches of phonetics. We can divide phonetics into three distinctive classes or branches. And what are those? First of all, articulatory phonetics. Now, what does this branch deal with? Articulatory phonetics is that branch of phonetics which deals with the ways how speech sounds are articulated and produced with the help of different speech organs. Secondly, acoustic phonetics. What is the function of acoustic phonetics? Acoustic phonetics deals with the consequence or results of produced speech sounds, and this branch discusses how the produced speech sounds are transmitted from the speaker to the listener. And lastly, auditory phonetics. So what does this branch function? Auditory phonetics discusses how the speech sounds are received through the ear by the listener, and these sounds are received which ultimately reach human brain, and with the help of the brain the listener perceives the meaning of the produced sounds. So phonetics deals with those functions beginning from the production of speech sounds to the perception of those sounds. Now let me discuss how speech sounds are produced. My dear students, in this respect, I have to mention that I am bound to take this class without any modern amenities. At my residence, I have no projector or multimedia facilities. And you know that it is really difficult and almost impossible to discuss linguistics without at least a projector, because we have to show our speech organs and how speech sounds are produced. So this is really a difficult task to discuss phonetics, phonology. And it is not possible to discuss only theoretically. We should show practically. But after the pandemic, I believe that we can take more effective steps to make our classes more fruitful and effective. Whatever. Now I want to mention how speech sounds are produced. The air which is released from our lungs passes through the air pipe and at last reaches the vocal cords. We have two vocal cords here, okay, and there is a space between the two vocal cords which is called glottis, and glottis is located at the top of our windpipe. However, the airstream that gets a comparatively free passage when the two vocal cords are apart. And because of this free access and passage, the air is produced into sounds, and these sounds are called voiceless sound because they are produced without any obstruction. On the contrary, when our two vocal cords are closed or blocked, the air stream that comes from our lungs cannot get a free passage. So they are obstructed. The air is obstructed at our vocal cords. And because of this abstraction, the sounds are produced which are called voiced sounds. So through this process, voiceless sounds and voiced sounds are produced. And these sounds enter into our oral cavity, that is into our mouth. And there are some speech organs in our mouth, such as tongue, teeth, palate, soft palate, and so on. So because of the mechanism of these speech sounds in our mouth, we can produce sounds as we want. And there is also pharyngeal cavity that lies in our throat. So from the throat, sounds come into our mouth. And then there is nasal cavity, that is nose. And at last, the produced sounds are transmitted through our lips, right? So all these activities of sound are involved with the speaker. So far I have discussed sounds involved with the speaker, and the speaker transmits sounds through his lips to the ears of the listener. The ears function as antenna that catches sounds sent by the speaker, and the sound received by the ears are transmitted into our brain, into the brain of the listener. Then with the help of the brain, the listener can perceive the sounds from the speaker, and thus this process of sounds are concerned with phonetics. My dear students, in the next class I want to discuss other related factors with phonetics. All the best. See you next.